Alright everyone, let's talk about the Hellraiser franchise. Now this is one of those horror franchises where I've only seen the first one and just rewatched the first one, but I'm going to watch all of these sequels, which I have never seen. So it's going to be an interesting ride, because I do really love the first one, but I have not seen any of the sequels at all. So I'm really curious, because I hear that all the sequels are either all right or really bad, really terrible. There was one on IMDb, I think it was one of the last few, that had like a 2.8 out of 10, and I was like, that's probably, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with that one, but I don't know, maybe I'll like it. Maybe it'll be an Exorcist 2, where it's like, I love that movie, even though it's so weird, but maybe it's gonna be that kind of thing, but I'm doubting that. I feel like it's gonna be, a lot of these sequels are gonna be pretty bad, so. But anyways, let's not rush things. I think I will see if I actually like them or dislike them or not before I judge it on the fact I haven't seen them. So the first Hellraiser movie I've seen before. Like I said, I've just rewatched it to review it, and this one I always forget how really fucking awesome the first Hellraiser is, because this movie, starting out, the score is fantastic. Like, the opening credits are awesome because of that fantastic score. And I thought that really is an incredible score, and Christopher Young scored it, and it's really memorable, and it's bad, it's memorable, but I always forget about it. But I love that whenever I remember about how good this score is, that I actually, like, just get super excited, like, whoa, this is so cool, this score is so great, and I always forget about it. And the effects in this movie are so incredibly disgusting. I love the fact that this came out in 1987, so of course it's all practical. These effects are nasty. Like, I love the fact that this movie is this disgusting. Like, it opens up, after it shows the opening scene with Frank using the cube, it opens up with the Cenobites walking around in this area where there's just guts, body parts, skin, just all over the floor, and it is disgusting. Like, I almost, like, I never get that queasy in movies, but this first movie, I forgot how disgusting, like, these effects are. Like, in a fantastic way. Like, they're so incredibly realistic that it grosses me out. It really does make me feel sick to the stomach watching, like, the opening effects of this movie. Whenever they're walking around with all the body parts just all over the ground, like, that is disgusting. But if it works that well, then that makes it a fantastic movie, because it's that effective, and I love that. I love how effective it can be. And the basic story of this is that this guy named Frank used that cube to gain powers and abilities from the Cenobites, but then he evaded them. So he's been hiding away in this house where Julia, his former lover, comes back with a new husband, Larry, and Larry spills blood where, like, it reanimates Frank, and Julia figures out that Frank is still alive, but he has to kill to gain blood to reanimate. And I love the fact that whenever he reanimates, like, every time Julia kills somebody, he will absorb their blood, and, like, it has it in steps, to where sometimes you just see him, like, just a skull, and then you see his basic veins, and then eventually it's like you're gonna try to keep building it up to where he's gonna look normal again. But I love the fact that every time they take dedication to show, every time, like, he absorbs another person, like, he's partway there, and his skin is not there yet, but it's like you see veins, or before that he's just a skull. Like, it's cool how they keep showing the effects of how he's slowly coming back to being a normal looking person, like growing back all his skin. That's really cool, and that's just, like, this movie is really cool, and just how interesting and unique it is. Like, it's a very unique horror movie, especially for in the 1980s, which is not just saying that slashers are the only thing in the 80s, because of course not, but slashers was a big thing in the 80s, and this is not really a slasher. It's a supernatural type with a few, like, gruesome things in it, but it's more like a psychological, or not psychological, a supernatural type of movie. Um, but again, like, I'm gonna go back to the effects. The effects are absolutely incredible. Whenever Larry spills blood on the ground in the attic, and then like it reanimates Frank, and you see him becoming fully reanimated, and it is incredible looking. Like, just it works so well because these effects are incredible, and I think that they rewound the effects in terms of like how he melds together. Like, I think they do it backwards. Like, I think I noticed that in the movie. Like, it looks like it goes backwards and then they rewind it, so then it looks like it's going forward, with him bringing himself back to life. Like, that's really cool. Just again, the effects are fantastic in this movie, some of the best, and I always forget how incredible they are. And then I didn't mention the character Kirsty yet, who is the quote-unquote final girl in this movie, because she is Larry's daughter, and Julia married Larry, but like Kirsty starts to figure out that all this weird shit is happening as well, and she realizes it, and I love the fact that she takes the cube and like runs away, and she goes and hides. But I love the fact that the Cenobites come in and they're like, "We're gonna take you now," and she's just literally brought into this horrible situation that Frank brought everybody into, where she's like, "I can lead you to Frank. I can lead you to Frank. Just don't take me, please." Like, I like that a lot, and I liked the twist towards the end, where whenever Kirsty already had realizes that Frank is coming back, and then I love the fact that Larry gets killed off screen, and then Frank wears Larry's skin suit. So like it's just that actor who plays Larry, but it's Frank underneath. And I love the fact that they trick her, so the Cenobites think that she tricked them. And I love the fact that in the end he still gets it, because they realize that it's just Frank underneath his body suit, or his skin of Larry's, and his death is, again, just how incredibly effective these effects are, where Frank, looking like Larry, Frank gets hooked after they realize that he evaded them, and then he lied to him again, the Cenobites, so they hook him with hooks all over his body, and then he's just there, sitting there, hooks pulling him apart, and then his face is just like hooks all over, and it is one of the most disgusting images I've ever seen. And again, I can't stress enough how great these effects are. These effects are incredible, and just how whenever he's at his end, whenever he's getting hooked, and he just sits there and just says, "Jesus wept," and then his head explodes, like just gets pulled apart. Again, just incredible effects. And I really love that. And I love Kirsty. I thought she was a great final girl in this, if that's a term you can use, because she is the final person, her and Steve, her boyfriend, who comes back towards the end of the movie, but she is the final girl. And I like the fact that there's this homeless guy who's halfway seen through the movie, which is a scene, that scene's kind of random, whenever Kirsty's working at a pet shop, and this homeless guy comes in and starts eating grasshoppers, and she's like, "What are you doing? Get out of here." And then he leaves, and then you realize at the end, after they burn the house down, like, it's just that homeless guy comes in and he becomes this flying demon that takes the cube away. And it's weird, but it worked. It's strange that the homeless guy was there watching. Like, I like that, though. I like that he was a watcher for this item that he takes back at the end, and then it just closes with the opening of the beginning, where it's just like that cube is set down in the same spot where it was in the beginning of the movie, where Frank went to use it. So I really liked the story in this. I really liked the characters. I really liked how the movie just does a fantastic job with effects, but it does a good job with the story, and how you get this full story with Julia and Frank, and how they used to be lovers, and Julia wants him back so bad and doesn't want Larry anymore. So like you see like these cool with great editing. You see this cool scene where it's where they're trying to move, the people downstairs are trying to move the bed up, and it shows scenes of Julia and Frank having sex, and like it fits with the beat of them having sex, which sounds weird. And then moving the bed with the nail, where Larry's just gonna get cut with the nail right on the wall. Like, it's really cool, and it just really is a good set of editing. Like, just showing that scene while showing flashbacks of Julia and Frank. Like, I like moments like that, and I liked how Julia is the killer in this, because she is the person who kills the people for Frank, and then Frank does it to reanimate, but then of course he has evaded the Cenobites, so they kill him at the end. But I just thought that this is a very incredibly unique movie. Like, an incredibly unique horror movie. Like, and rewatching it, I really liked it the first time, but the second time I loved it. Like, I loved all these effects, I love these characters, I love the story, I love how different it is from a typical 80s movie, or 80s horror movie. And it really just did a fantastic job with everything and everybody involved. I really did love this movie, and I thought that it just did incredibly well for just everything it did. Just really blew me away. So I really love rewatching this. Next up is Hellraiser 2, which I hear is the best sequel, one of the best sequels out of the whole franchise, which I hear is not saying much because I hear a lot of people hate the other sequels. So we'll see what I think about the second one. So, and I hear Christie's in it too, so that'd be cool. So, really enjoyed this rewatch. Thanks for watching. Next up is Hellraiser 2.